Ladies and gentlemen, I have been sent this video by 4 people now, and people on the live stream are talking about it, so I figured, what the heck, I'm caught up on my homework, so we're going to take a look at this. So without any further ado, let's take a look at the very interesting vegan lady, Carol Adams, who had her debate at Oxford University about veganism. Oxford Union Society. Okay.
Now, to move not beyond meat, but move on with the debate, I call upon Carol Adams to conclude the side proposition.
If I'm not mistaken, Carol Adams... So I haven't seen this video yet, but isn't Carol Adams... I think she's American. I'm pretty sure she's American, but I could be wrong.
I've read the motion, and I believe we should move beyond all meat.
She is American. Okay. I'm pretty sure I've heard her name before. I can't remember where, but I thought she was American. Anyways, before we even get onto this, I just want to say I really hate formal debates like this because it makes it very difficult to interact with what people say. I'm not a big fan of it. It allows people to gish gallop and just make shit up. So I don't particularly care for this, but they also make these really stiff, formal jokes, like what she just did. I think that we should move beyond meat. I was like, okay. I mean, it's a pun. I guess it's part of the proposition, but yeah, I don't like it.
So, what we choose to eat has consequences far beyond the circumference of our plates.
Oh my god. Far beyond the circumference of our plates, guys. It's like as if none of us ever thought of where our food comes from. I mean, yeah. I mean, if we're eating meat, clearly something died to be that meat. I think most of us understand the concept of meat. I mean, it's been around since we were cavemen.
Your vote tonight expresses your allegiance to or rejection of a white supremacist patriarchal worldview.
Whoa. Okay, guys, I see why you sent me this video. What the I'm sorry, a white supremacist... What did she just say?
Specifically, your vote tonight expresses your allegiance to or rejection of a white supremacist patriarchal worldview.
A white supremacist patriarchal worldview? Based on eating meat? I wonder if anyone's told this woman, showed this woman the documentaries of how Bushmen in Africa go and catch monkeys and eat them. Do you think that would kind of just cause her to have an aneurysm? What does she think goes on everywhere else in the world? How is meat eating white supremacy? Guess we should just watch and find out, huh? I'm talking way too much. All right.
Do we vote to further inequality and sustain world-destroying violence?
Hold on, what? Sustain inequality and world-destroying violence from eating meat? How? Okay, this is a wonderful example of why, what I just said. I hate live debates because people can stand up there and say whatever the fuck they want with no consequences because people aren't allowed to interrupt them. Because I'm sorry, I know it's rude to interrupt people when they're talking, but this is the type of shit that you should interrupt this. This should be interrupted. She should be shouted down and laughed out. This is really, we're 52 seconds into the video, and this is already almost too stupid for me. This is at Oxford. A pillar of higher education. How is... Okay. Anyways, moving on.
The sexual politics of meat, I introduced the concept of animals as absent reference.
The sexual politics of meat sounds like the name of a porno. I mean, what? What?
In order to be eaten, animals must disappear as living beings, that is, be killed.
That's congratulations. You've reached a second grade understanding of where meat comes from. Like what? She acts as if she's giving us this wonderful, valuable insight, and it's literally nothing than like, "Duh, hey guys, did you know that meat is dead animals?" Like, of course we did. But by the way, can you see this guy right behind? He looks like a vegan. I bet this guy agrees with her. He looks like a vegan, although he is wearing leather. So maybe not. Maybe not.
Then disappear conceptually, as so many forms in which we eat animals' corpses are massaged by euphemistic language: hamburger, steak, pork, bacon, etc.
Look at this guy's face. Okay, I'm not paying attention to her right now. I'm watching this guy behind her. Go back. Anyway, I'm gonna go back like 10 seconds. I want you to watch his face. Watch this guy's face.
Actually,
Watch it.
as so many forms in which we eat animals' corpses are massaged by euphemistic language: hamburger, steak, pork, bacon, etc.
Look at his face. Like, it's... Okay, maybe he doesn't agree with her. He looks like he's just like, he's made eye contact with someone and he's making fun of her behind her back. I'm sorry, he's way more interesting than she is. I can't help myself. But yeah, so she's sitting here talking about like bacon, pork. Like, I don't, like, make your point. Like, okay, it's a euphemism. It's making us, what is she, because we use a euphemism to describe like different types of meat, then, you know, that's desensitizing, I suppose. I mean, maybe in a sense. Like, I'm not, but part of it's just convenience. Like, I'm not gonna be like, well, I'm gonna take this hock of sawed up pig meat that was cut off the underbelly, you know, from, like, I'm not gonna go on a 15-word description of pork belly, right? Like, I'm just not. So it's not just you know, desensitization. I mean, it's also kind of bad manners to sit here and be like, you know, those cow testicles that you ate. I mean, they call them Rocky Mountain oysters for a reason. I mean, it's, you know, I don't know. Maybe she's right about this one, but I don't think so. I mean, I don't care. Like, this is the thing about veganism, right? I just don't care. Like, if you want to be a vegan, go be a vegan. But she's bringing in every single intersectional identity and issue that she can possibly think of to this. So this is great.
Even the speaker just before me talked about turkeys. He's talking about dead butchered turkeys, of whom
She literally just chose the worst example. Like, if you're eating cow meat, you'll call it beef. If you're eating pig meat, you'll call it pork. But if you're eating turkey, what do you call it? Turkey! She chose the worst possible example. Oh my god. Like, I've never heard of anyone being like, you know, that's you know, a turkey leg. It's like, okay, well, what else do you want to call it? It's a fucking turkey leg. Like, I have so many things to say about this lady herself, because like, she seems like a blithering idiot, but I'm gonna try to avoid the ad homs.
part of their bodies will be eaten. Meat eaters order leg of lamb, not a baby lamb's leg. The animals.
That's a distinction without a difference, and I really hate that you did that. You could say leg of lamb or baby lamb's leg. Sure, I don't think anyone cares either way. Again, it's like, baby lamb's leg sounds more, it's more of a clunky way of saying it, but you're literally saying the same thing. I don't understand how saying leg of lamb is not, you know, acknowledging the fact that that was a lamb that you're eating. I'm not sure what you're, I mean, I know what your point is, but you're not making it very well. Like, I'm trying to argue against your point, and you're not making a very good point, so it's hard.
Cannot possess their own body parts.
Hold on. Animals cannot possess their own body. So, leg of lamb, baby lambs. Oh, she's saying we possess their bodies instead of them possessing their own bodies. Well, I feel like, so we do possess their bodies, for one thing. Like, we took it from them and we're eating it. But beyond that, like, possession isn't a, like, uniquely human thing. I mean, I know there's, like, you know, crows or blackbirds that'll steal shiny objects and keep them. But, like, on average, like, possession is, it's a very, very human, human idea. So, I mean, I guess I don't even really know the point she's making. Like, she's saying it like this is an end. That it is wrong that we're possessing the animal's body after they're dead. But I mean, that's kind of the point. I mean, well, let's see. What if a lion kills a gazelle? Who owns the gazelle's body at that point? I mean, I would say the lion. That's the lion's gazelle. You don't touch that gazelle unless you want to die. So again, I think this is another one of those, just like saying bacon instead of saying very thin slices of meat cut off the back flank of an animal. Like you would never say that. It's just clunky. I think this is the exact same thing. This is like, this is a leg of lamb. Well, does the lamb own the leg? Well, not really, because the lamb has been butchered and the different parts have been sent to 9 different companies all over the country. So, I don't think it matters. I think you're arguing for something that just doesn't matter.
Tonight, think about how the language of our debate has or has not participated in the structure of the absent referent. Who disappears and why? 21st century animal eating requires our complicity in a new colonialism.
Oh, a new colonialism. I'm going to bet you anything. So when she says new colonialism, I bet you what she means is a colonialism that she's just now discovered, because there's nothing new about eating animals. Everyone knows that. Like, I'm not even going to pretend like that's some deep insight. Every species pretty much on Earth has been eating other species. I mean, I understand that there are herbivorous. I get it. But like, maybe let's put it this way. Every omnivorous and carnivorous species since the beginning of time has eaten meat. So like, this isn't something new. This isn't a new concept.
We know how settler colonialism worked. And
Can she not be fucked to say the word colonialism? Like, the word is colonialism, not colonialism. Like, fuck. Just like, you're speaking at the Oxford. I'm sorry, I shouldn't add on her. Anyways.
Erase and replace system that forced indigenous people off the land.
Why the fuck does that matter? That's not what we're talking about. You went from eating meat to patriarchy to white supremacy to indigenous cultures. Like, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about eating meat in 2022, I think, or 2021 when this was recorded.
Replacing them with cattle and white settlers. I recognize today as Indigenous Peoples Day.
Wow, you're a good person. Guys, isn't she a good person? Round of applause for the good person. You're such a good person, Carol Adams, because you recognize it as Indigenous Peoples Day. None of that fucking Columbus Day bullshit for you. You're too good for that. You're a great person. Columbus was an asshole who did all sorts of terrible things, so Indigenous Peoples Day, damn it. Like, what is that? Why does it matter? It's not relevant. Jesus Christ.
One of the defining aspects of the colonial legacy is an ongoing white supremacist belief system and an ownership paradigm.
Are you going to offer any evidence for what you're talking about, or any reason that it's relevant to the topic at hand? Because knowing people like you, you're just going to keep going. Like, there's never going to be any sort of like explanation. You're gonna pronounce them as axioms. Essentially, you're just gonna be like, this is true, and this is true, and this is true, and this is true, and there's no one's holding you to account. This is why this format for debate sucks, because she's just gonna say shit like that, and no one is holding her accountable for this. Like, as she's saying it, she should be held accountable. She shouldn't be able to sit here and spew nonsense unchallenged. I am all for freedom of speech. Say whatever the hell you want. But, my God, it needs to be challenged. Also, that's Michaela Peterson right there. I just recognized her. So, I'm glad that she's in this debate. But, regardless, like, what is this? Why is she sitting here? Why is she allowed to sit here and say things that are completely off the topic? If we're having a moderated debate, little Asian guy with the glasses there, you should be going off on her for like straying off the topic, right? Like, is that not how these things work? I thought that moderated debates were supposed to, like, the point of the moderator is to keep the thing on track. She's not on track.
When you own the
This dude just walked across. He's just like, they're like, oh, you're recording here? Fuck that. I gotta go to the bathroom. Get out of my way.
the land, you get the title to it. Entitlement and ownership are linked.
So I'm sorry I keep pausing this so much, but the land thing, like animals, all sorts of animals have their territories. Like humans are able to articulate the concept of a territory and call it their land, but bears do this. Like, God, if you're from the Pacific Northwest, you know grizzly bears have their territory, and if you're another grizzly bear, you stay the hell out of their territory. Like, I mean, humans come and they take territory because they can. Doesn't make it right. We should be able to reason out of that. I mean, I understand that what happened with the Native Americans. Why am I engaging in this conversation with you? This conversation is not the point. We're talking about veganism. Why are you doing this?
All the justifications for the taking of land by white colonial authorities included the claim, well, the Indians can't prove they own the land.
So what? What if we agree that everything you're saying is true? Can we just expedite the process where we just give you all these points just so that you'll get to your point? Like, this has nothing to do with eating meat. You're just making shit up right now. Like, you're sitting here like, oh, well, this is, white supremacy and colonialism. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm kind of at a loss because I looked at this, I was like, oh, this is going to be some goofy old vegan lady from, who was, thought she was somebody in the 70s. But no, this, like, she's not even talking about veganism. Like, she's taking this completely somewhere else.
Hunting exists within this colonial ownership paradigm.
Hunting also exists in the Native American paradigm in every single tribe. It's not just like, you can't just say Native American, have it mean one thing, right? Because you have all sorts of tribes like Cherokee, Chickasaw, Chattawa, all of them. Like, there's so many different tribes, right? But all of them had that in common. They hunted. Like, they all did. Maybe some more than others. Maybe, like, maybe the Comanches hunted a little bit more because they were more nomadic, or whereas, like, if you go down to I guess it wouldn't be the Apache. Maybe the Pueblos had more of a, agrarian society, or, I mean, I don't really know an awful lot about any of these tribes, but I do think that Navajo and Pueblo, they actually had, like, crops, whereas the Comanches were, like, they were hunters, right? So, but they all still hunted. Whether they were, nomads or agrarian, they still hunted. So you're just attributing hunting to the, white supremacy. God damn it, I'm doing it again. Why am I doing this? This has nothing to do with this veganism debate. You're just, like, you're going off on some tangent, and it's making me go off on the tangent too. But the point is that every human civilization since the beginning of time has hunted. This is nothing new.
It presumes that animals don't have title to their own lives. Once dispossessed of their lives, the hunted animal can become your property.
Who else's property would it become if there was an animal that was dispossessed of its life or killed, as us normal people say, we say killed, right? If there's an animal that's killed and the human doesn't take it, who possesses it then? Well, I'll bet you anything it's going to be scavengers. The scavengers are going to come eat it. And what the scavengers don't eat, the bugs are going to get. It's nature, baby. It's nature. Like, that's how it works. I don't know if you ever learned about the circle of life, but it's definitely a thing in nature. That's not something that only humans and only white colonialists engage in. Like, what is wrong with you? Like, step outside and feel the grass, for God's sakes.
On that point.
In a minute.
Somebody had something to say.
Approximately 90% of Native Americans were killed off by erase and replace settler colonialism.
Okay. And
It's the new colonialism that boasts, I'll hunt for myself and be grateful like the Native Americans. As well, like the Native Americans, I thank the animal for their sacrifice.
Sacrifice. I thank the animal for their sacrifice. Dude, are you not happy with that? Do you not like that people would do that? You don't like that people would say, well, I'm going to thank the animal for the sacrifice? Like, I understand it's kind of cheesy when people do it. They're like, I am like the Native... Because Native Americans, I don't know, if you're not American, then you may not realize this, but to a lot, especially like city dwelling Americans, they've painted this like caricature of what Native Americans were. And so they're like, Native American, I am Chief Running Cloud. I give thanks to Great Spirit. Like that's the way that a lot of like really stupid Americans view Native Americans. And so, or I wouldn't necessarily say they view them that. They just think that's what they used to be. But what is wrong with that attitude, though, of being like, I recognize that I ate this animal for sustenance, so I'm giving thanks for, like, I don't see anything wrong with that whatsoever. Do you? Am I wrong? Am I stupid? I think she's stupid, but I don't see anything wrong with that. It's cringe, but I mean, hey, I understand what they're getting at.
And I wonder, how do you know the animal would have picked you to feed off their corpse?
Oh, for fuck's sake. Oh my god. What the dude, no one picks to be killed and eaten. Did she really just say that? Does she think that in nature, like, she's glorifying like Native American cultures? Does she think that back then animals wanted to be killed anymore when it was, 16th century Native Americans doing the killing? I don't really think so. I don't think so at all. I think that the animals were just as angry about being killed then as they are now. I don't think they wanted to die. Also, look at the smirk on this little dude's face behind her. I keep watching him. He keeps distracting me. He's cracking me up. But this woman is really dumb.
The argument that hunting is ethical presumes that some primeval form of eating exists.
Okay. I don't think anyone argues that hunting is ethical, as in, like, it's any better for the animal to be killed that way. What they argue is that they say it's more ethical to live that way because the animal they're able to live a freer, more natural life. So maybe in that sense it's more ethical. But I don't really have that much of a problem with what she just said. But the other part of what she said, she says it assumes there's a primeval, what did she say? A primeval, here, let's listen to that.
No, the animal would have picked you to feed off their corpse. The argument that hunting is ethical presumes that some primeval form of eating exists.
Primeval form of eating. Yeah, a primeval form of eating does exist. It's like you kill an animal with a spear, you cut off a chunk of it, roast it over a fire with no salt, and like eat it off the stick like an animal. Like that's a primeval form. Like, but hunting, I see what you're saying. Hunting is kind of the primeval way of gathering meat. I don't know what you're saying. There's something wrong with assuming a primeval way of doing it does exist, and it's hunting. Like, I'm not sure what issue you're taking with that. That's a really weird thing to take issue with.
Unmediated by corrupting influences of society. There's no room in the new colonialism for an indigenous worldview to exist.
Can you define this new colonialism that you're talking about? Because I don't think anyone in the world except for you knows what you're talking about.
Instead, it collapses more than 100 Native American nations into one amalgam and
What? You've been sitting here saying, like the Native Americans, like the Native Americans, like the Native Americans, and now you're complaining about people just smashing all Native Americans into an amalgam and calling them Native Americans. Like, are you kidding me? You've been doing it for the past 3.5 minutes. I literally just went on a sidebar about how different Native American cultures could be different, and I named off a few for you. I could name a bunch more if you wanted me to, but Jesus Christ, like, you're sitting here doing it, and then you're like, but these evil whiteys, they're doing this, so they're evil, right? Guys, listen to me, like, I make sense, right? But you're doing it. You're doing it. The thing that you're complaining about is exactly what you've been doing for the last 3.5 minutes. Stop it.
It's a static indigenous worldview that erases those nations that were predominantly vegetarian and lived in...
Do you know why some of those nations were predominantly vegetarian? Because they couldn't get meat. Like, they didn't eat meat for long periods because all they could get... Well, I mean, they would eat, like, snake. Like, let's think about the, Apache or the Pueblo that live, in the desert. Sometimes they get meat. Sometimes they gotta live off berries and seeds. Like, sometimes they've got, like, those cultures would eat whatever they could get their hands on. You know how they always talk about, like, we use every part of the buffalo? That's because it was hard for them to kill the buffalo. Like, if you're using spears to try to kill a 3,000-pound buffalo, like, I got some news for you, that's gonna suck, and you're not gonna get an awful lot of them killed. Like, they were mostly vegetarian because they had to be, not out of choice. When they could kill meat, they would eat it. And let's take it away from Native Americans for a second and think, like, in Africa. Like, people will eat whatever the hell they can get their hands on in some impoverished nations in Africa. But if you go out and talk to the Bushmen, what'll they eat? Well, they'll eat pretty much anything they can get their hands on. They'll eat monkeys. They'll eat, a lot of them eat baboons, and it doesn't taste very good, but they'll do it anyway. They'll eat birds, like anything, literally anything they can get, because food is scarce. And food was scarce with these Native American tribes that you're glorifying so much, which, like, more power to you. I'm not, sitting here trying to denigrate Native American tribes. I'm just saying, 300, 400, 500 years ago, they struggled to find food. They were not vegetarian by choice. They were vegetarian because they had to be, right? Like, Jesus.
Urban areas.
Question.
The new colonialists see nothing wrong
She just ignored the question. Of course she did.
with a pick-and-choose approach to indigenous thought that never engages with the survival issues indigenous peoples are facing today.
You're not engaging with the survival issues that indigenous people were facing back then, but yet you're choosing to talk about it. Like, why don't you have an intellectually honest discussion about this where somebody can challenge what you have to say?
70% of the population would have to be eliminated for people to try to rely on hunting.
That's because we've grown in population based on modern food growth, like agricultural techniques. Of course! If we were going to survive on just hunting, I'm surprised that the number's as low as 70%. Jesus Christ! That's why we don't survive on hunting! We don't survive on hunting because it's impractical and billions of people would die. Like, what point are you trying to make? It's not very cogent. I don't understand what the hell you're talking about.
To survive. Who would live and who dies and who decides?
You would die, and I would decide.
As for domesticated animals, Percy Shelley pointed out just after being expelled from Oxford, the quantity of nutritious vegetable matter consumed in fattening the carcass of an ox would afford 10 times the sustenance if gathered immediately from the bosom of the earth.
Okay, I'm guessing that's based on calories, because how else would you base it? What do you think a lot of that is coming from? Probably hay, right? Now, question. Do humans eat grass? I don't think so. Do humans eat alfalfa? No. So if we can take a resource that we can't eat, but still can produce calories for a different type of animal and feed it to them and fatten them, and then eat the animal, we've netted calories for ourselves, right? Like that, I don't know. If we're talking about corn or I don't know, what else? Wheat, if you're going to give them barley, whatever you might give a cow to fatten it up, there might be some sort of a point, but every single one of us knows that, at least in the U.S., most of what cows eat, it's either free grazing or it's hay. Alfalfa hay, usually. So, no, and in some cases they'll give them corn, but it's mostly, but again, the kind of corn that they grow to feed cows, to fatten them up, it's different from the kind of corn that they feed people. I don't know if everybody knows that, but it is. It's very different. It's field corn versus sweet corn. Those are two different things. So if we can grow a plant and that we can't eat and feed it to animals that we can eat, we've done something there. We've made a net positive when it comes to like a calorie surplus. That's not hard to understand, I don't think. I mean, you're somebody who's debating at Oxford, so I'm guessing you have like 9 PhDs. But go live on a farm for like 6 months. Go learn something about, real life. You are really stupid, lady.
200 years after Shelley...
And you're not going to explain any of that. You're just going to sit here and run right past it because it fits your narrative. I dislike you intensely.
As we've heard, 1/3 of the landmass of the world is committed to animal agriculture.
Because there's 8 billion people on the planet.
Entire ecosystems are disappearing.
Yeah, entire ecosystems are disappearing every single day, and because of people's agriculture. So what are you saying? Do you want to start just killing people off, letting them starve to death so that you're, the 855,000th species of pollywog can survive? Like, is that what you want? Is that your overall goal? What's wrong with you?
80% of deforested acres in the Amazon were cleared for animal-based cattle grazing.
I have a question for you, Miss. I'm speaking at Oxford, and I have the distinguishment of being thought of as an academic in the Western world. Have you ever been down to the Amazon? I bet you haven't. I wonder if you went down there and you went to see what kind of lives the people that live in that region are living. I wonder if you might be just a little bit more compassionate toward them, clearing some land so that their family can eat, so they can have agriculture, so that they don't have to go hunting in the freaking rainforest for dinner. Like, so they don't have to go risk, giant snakes and great big water-dwelling lizards that are gonna come kill them, prehistoric dinosaur-looking motherfuckers, or jaguars, or all the poisonous creatures. Like, do you not know that everything in the rainforest wants to kill you? Like, that's the place where piranhas live. I don't want to live there in where I have to hunt with a blowgun for dinner. Those societies that live in those regions are generally very, very poor, and they want to farm so they can eat. It's not like you have like these enormous industrial farms spouting up there that are exporting everything they make. They're probably using it in their own economies locally, and then within the country. Like, I don't understand. Like, how can you make this argument? You're not even thinking about the quality of life of the people that live down there. I mean, this makes being able to raise animals and grow crops makes their lives insanely easier. Jesus.
And yet tonight at dinner, I saw the lions eaters send meat back from.
What the fuck does that mean? Yet tonight at dinner, I saw the lions eaters send meat. I'm just going to call that word salad and ignore it because it doesn't make sense.
From their plates. So-called free-range animals contribute more greenhouse gases, while.
Oh, beautiful. So why are we going into the politics of climate change instead of addressing the problem of eating meat as like an ethical issue? Like, is your argument that, like, you've gone and made like, oh, you're a white supremacist, you're in favor of the patriarchy. Now you're saying you're causing climate change if you like. Which and what is your argument? Because you've kind of introduced each idea in a really slipshod manner, and you haven't really made a cogent point for any of them.
Killing them in mobile slaughterhouses requires more water than industrial slaughterhouses and leaves behind an immense amount of waste, requiring.
Okay, I can get behind, the waste that happens a lot when in our farming practices. Like, I'm not saying our farming practices are perfect. Let me be clear about that. I don't think that we have it down pat, and I think that commercial farming leaves a lot to be desired. But she's just jumping from point to point and gish galloping. This is why I really, really hate this form of debate.
An intense amount of chemicals in the process.
I agree with that too. I don't like chemicals being dumped into the ecosystem, but the flip side of it is we're trying to feed 8 billion people.
Your meat may be organic, but your slaughtering isn't. If you eat animals, you take up more climate space.
Cry me a fucking river.
Requiring more water, more land, more deforestation, contributing more.
You know why? Because I'm better than you. No, I'm just kidding. Jesus Christ.
More greenhouse gases. This is felt disproportionately by countries in the global south. Their carbon.
can you just feel like that? I just said because I'm better than you, but then I just kind of realized, can you not feel that she thinks she's better than everyone she's talking to? Like, she really does. She's sitting here just acting like, all of you horrible meat eaters, I look down my nose at you. It's like, no one is going to listen to you if you act like this. You're being a stuck-up, odious prig.
Footprint is smaller, but they experience more frequent and intense climate change-caused weather events.
Cool. Could it be that you're including the equatorial countries in that equation there? Just curious.
These events especially affect girls and young women.
Oh, do they? Do they? Disproportionately? So I want to know what you mean by that. What the fuck do you mean by that? So, Mumbai gets hit by a typhoon and an entire neighborhood gets wiped out. Women and young girls most affected. The 2-year-old boy whose, dad and mom both died, he's not as affected as his sister because he's got a dick. Like, okay.
Your hamburger comes with a dose of misogyny.
Oh my God. Your hamburger comes with a dose of misogyny. All right. I mean, I don't know what else to say. She hasn't made an argument. She's just like, by the way, guys, hurricanes and typhoons, they affect women and girls way more than men and boys. Okay? Okay. I'm just telling you. And then she just says it as if it's a fact and gives absolutely not even an example. Like, I'd be okay with a bad example. I just want a fucking example. God damn.
The Western world colonized their space without sending a single beef eater.
Without sending a single beef eater what? A Valentine? Because it's Valentine's Day. What did they not send the beef eaters? I don't know.
Through colonial power, the diet of beef-loving English people became...
She didn't explain it! Okay.
...normative. The food heritage of pre-conquest peoples, like the land itself, was overrun.
Okay, but people in the world ate meat before the British Empire. Like, what?
It was the colonizers, especially the British, who declared that the virility of meat-eating nations explained their success over the supposed feminine and weak rice-eating countries.
Well, to be fair, people in Britain, on average, taller, more muscular, bigger hands than Asian countries. I'm not saying it's because of meat. I'm just saying there's a genetic difference. Maybe that was their explanation for it a long time ago. I don't know. But either way, I still don't know what this has to do with the talking about eating meat today. Like, what the hell does it mean? Why are we talking about this? I don't. Okay.
They defeated. Historically, the vast majority of the world lived without animal protein as a central part of their diet.
That's because they couldn't get it! Like, before they domesticated animals, and then, the animals from the West were all brought around and shared across the world, not a whole lot of animals were domesticated. But the societies that had domesticated animals ate them, and they all hunted. Like, are you just going to leave that out? You're going to be like, well, it wasn't a central part of their diet. Yeah, because a lot of them didn't have access to it. They didn't have them domesticated, and they didn't have weapons that could take them down. A lot of them didn't. And the ones that could, did. I mean, if we're going to argue... This is so weird, because she's just basically saying, that's not what happened 5,000 years ago, so it shouldn't happen that way now. Like, what... Why is that? How is that an argument? That's not an argument. That's really stupid. That's what that is.
The assumption that the best protein comes from corpses is a racist belief.
Are you gonna? I'm pausing her here because I'm saying I don't think she's going to tell you why. I think she's just going to assert that. Also, most protein dense, meat. That's pretty much it. Or eggs or something like that. But like animal products, certain vitamins that are essential to humans, animal products. I mean, it's a great source of protein, I'll tell you that.
As it erases and replaces indigenous African, Asian, Mesoamerican cultural food practices.
I'm shook. She actually made a point. So she says, it's a bad point, but she made a point. She says it's racist to eat meat because it erases and replaces the diets of like ancient groups, like indigenous peoples. Well, I mean, how many people in those indigenous tribes starved to death or got rickets or had issues with, nutrition because they didn't eat enough, didn't have enough protein, didn't have enough vitamins? I mean, just because you're, I gotta be careful how I say this. Just because indigenous tribes did it in the past does not make it inherently good. Or just because people who are not white did it or do it does not make it good. Not inherently. Maybe it is good. Maybe it's better. But that's not a real argument. That makes no sense to anyone who sits and thinks for 13 seconds.
Meat eating is also one of the ways gender-based structures of oppression are perpetuated.
Oh, do tell. I'm excited for this.
Men in the West are taunted to renew their man card by eating meat because that's what real men do.
No one has said that ever. No one has said, hey, Bob, renew your man card. Eat some meat. No one has said that. I understand the point that you're trying to make, but that's a really stupid way to say it. And honestly, for the most part, most of us either, one, don't care, or two, don't care. No one cares. If you're a vegan, no one cares. We might tease you a little bit because there's stereotypes that are funny, and making jokes is funny, but it's funny. No, okay, I'll stop. No, it's funny. We'll make jokes, but no one really gives a fuck if you eat meat or not. Like, they don't. We just don't care. Sorry. Like, in your little world where you're the victim of everyone hating you because you're we don't hate you because you're a vegan. We hate you because you're a bitch. Like, that's really it. You're sitting here judging 99% of the world and telling us that we're horrible, evil, racist, misogynistic people. Like, what type of, an overbearing, self-righteous bitch does that? Her. That's what she is.
That's the sexual politics of meat, and it reveals how unsettled.
Sexual. Look at this guy. Look at the guy. He's got his mouth open. He's like, oh, it's perfect.
Masculinity really is. Back home, my library card is good for 7 years.
You still have a library card in 2021?
But a man card can expire between breakfast and lunch if someone eats a veggie burger.
Okay, no one judges your masculinity on if you eat a veggie burger. They might judge your food choices, and they might tease you because it's funny? Question mark. But if you said, I'm going to be a vegetarian because I feel like it's more healthy, the pushback you get from me is I don't believe it's more healthy, and I have lots of reasons for that, but I'm not going to get into it right now. But that's the pushback you get from me would be based on, like, here's what the science says. I don't care if you're a vegetarian. I've known plenty of people who are vegans and vegetarians, and guess what? I couldn't care. I'm from fucking Washington. Everyone out there is a vegan or a vegetarian. Like, I don't care. I think it's funny, but I don't care. It's no one, like, you're trying to make yourself into a victim. That's what you're trying to do. And I like, most of us we just want to be left alone. If you would get out of our face about being a vegan, we would not make fun of you. But there's the stereotype about vegans that's very, very true. They'll get in your face, man, I'm a vegan because I'm better than you. Like, that's what they do. And no one likes them. They're just like you. You're sitting here telling everyone in the world how terrible they are because they're not like you, and no one likes that. No one likes to be told that they're a bad person because they don't conform to your way of thinking. So fuck you.
Masculinity, a construct of the gender binary facing constant destabilization, feels always under threat, and eating
Masculinity doesn't always feel under threat. Men make jokes like that with each other because that's what men do. Men will be like, "Oh, you know, you're." Essentially, I'm not even gonna tell any jokes because what's the point with somebody like this? But like, look, men will joke about the level of masculinity of other men because that's what men do. We think it's funny. We just make jokes about stuff like that. It's male bonding, and you don't understand it because you're not a man. I don't think, but like, you clearly don't understand the way that men function. So I would be absolutely shocked if you understood masculinity to the slightest degree. I just don't think you do. I think you're stupid.
animals is its protection racket.
Killing animals is a protection racket for masculinity. Cool. Well, I didn't know that. Great. Good for me. I'm a man. I'm part of it. Fuck them. Fuck all the animals. Let's kill them. Let's just take them out back. Just shoot every single one. Hang them from trees and then laugh at the corpses. Like, let's do it. Like if that's what we're doing, I mean, let's go whole hog. I mean, bring on a flamethrower. Like, let's get the cooking done in the same step.
Question?
That's why after 9
Nope, she's not taking questions. Who the fuck do you think she is? She's not going to answer any questions.
11. Nope. That's why after 9/11, a focus on men as heroes and on meat eating became part of the reclamation of a
What?
wounded masculinity.
She's We ate meat after 9/11. That's how men coped with 9/11. Damn it. We ate meat. Are you listening to yourself? Like, she knows this is bullshit. She knows this bullshit. Did you see that? Watch this smile on her face. Watch this smile. When she says no to that question.
That's why after 9/11, a focus on
Oh my God.
Question?
That's why after 9/11, nope. That's
See that smile? She knows she's full of shit. She knows it. I refuse to believe that she's serious right now. She knows she's just making shit up.
why after 9/11, a focus on men as heroes and on meat eating became part of the reclamation
I don't think I've ever heard as men on heroes. I've always men as heroes. Jesus Christ. I've always heard like the brave firefighters and first responders. That's what everyone says. We're not sitting here like the brave men that dug through the rubble. It's like, no, it's the firefighters, first responders, the volunteers, like everybody who went to respond to that. I don't think I've ever once heard it been like the brave men. It's always the brave men and women. I don't think I've ever heard it any other way. You're just making shit up again.
of a wounded masculinity. When a black man was elected as U.S. president, we saw how white this wounded masculinity was. White supremacists weaponized it, eating meat, eggs, and dairy.
Wait, what? Wait. Was she... What the fuck are you talking about? She's like... They weaponized... Wait. When a black man was elected, then white men coped by eating meat? They weaponized meat to protest Barack Obama? What are you talking about? How does this isn't a real, this is not a real person, guys. This can't be a real, this is one of the crab people stuffed into a human suit, just out here trying to start shit. Like, that's all this is. This can't be real. No one is this stupid.
Inches of milk drinking white men, of platters.
Oh, maybe I know what she's talking about. You guys remember when Shia LaBeouf did the live stream in New York and all the people that were out there just like saying random shit to him? He was like yelling about racism or something, and so they went and started drinking milk, and because everybody's like milk is white supremacy, so all these people went out and drank milk in front of Shia LaBeouf's live stream. Do you guys remember that? It was a meme because some idiot had said that milk is white supremacy, essentially because black people are more prone to being lactose intolerant just because of, different genetics, or maybe epigenetic, whatever. There's genetic differences between the races, right? And so one of those differences is that black people are a little more likely to be lactose intolerant. And so somebody's like, milk is racist, and so people would go drink milk on the internet and be like, haha, fuck you. Like, just as a troll. I think that's what she's talking about. That's a generous interpretation of what she's talking about. She's not making an awful lot of sense.
Groaning with meat. And the baiting
with meat. It sounds like a porno.
Of liberal men as so-called soy boys are all part of the neo-Nazi messaging.
Oh, so the neo-Nazis call them soy boys. That's just, like, what the... This isn't relevant at all. And two, like, the soy boy thing is a meme. It's great. It's funny. I endorse the soy boy meme. And I really don't care what she has to say about it. In conclusion, I don't care.
This is their right, the neo-Nazis say. This is their identity. The new colonization rests on the unstable foundation of white men's insecurities.
What are we talking about? I thought we were talking about meat. Now we're talking about insecure white men. Like, I really hate this, like white fragility. You don't like when someone who doesn't look like you does. I was like, no, fuck you, we don't care. Like, there's like 0.01% of white people who care. And then there's a huge percentage of people like you who absolutely care about the race and gender of literally everyone under the sun. If people like you would shut the fuck up, no one would care about this anymore. Like, no one would have... like racism and differences between gender would be so much less prevalent if you idiots would just shut the fuck up. Because nothing you say makes sense, and all you do is divide people.
Look at the way people, men, in the animal industry speak of female animals as willing and ready to be made forcibly pregnant, which female animals are powerless to resist. There'd be no meat eating without the constant forced reproduction by female animals. Yet popular culture is flooded with references to sexy cows, sexy pigs, sexy chickens, sexy fishes.
What popular culture are you watching and listening to? No one... She got a hold of the videos from the fat acceptance movement, the sexy cow. Never mind, that's really fucked up. No, what the fuck are you talking about? Sexy cow, sexy chicken, sexy pig, sexy fish. Like, I don't know. Guys, help me. Like, please, seriously, help me. I don't know what she's talking about.
Who all just want to have fun. They want to be pregnant and they want to be killed.
I don't think anyone actually thinks that animals, like, want to be pregnant. They have an instinct that drives them to reproduce. Because they don't have, well, humans have it too, but humans have reason to regulate it. So they can be like, well, I'm not in a point in my life where I'm ready to reproduce. So they can stop it. But animals don't have that kind of inhibition. Like, it's just instinct. Nobody thinks that animals are like, oh, let me scope me out and find, a male to get me pregnant. Like, no one thinks that. Literally. Not a single person. Literally. You're the only person who thinks that.
Because this feminized sexuality wants to be eaten.
I could make a joke about that, but I'm not going to.
Only desire animals are credited with possessing is the desire to be consumed, which
no one thinks that animals want to be consumed. Like, we obviously know that animals don't want to be consumed. Like, they try hard to not be killed. We know this.
Strangely can only be expressed after their death. Real life tells a different story. Animals try to escape from slaughterhouses or farms.
Everyone knows that. You're not some deep, insightful, oracle who's feeding us. Hey guys, did you know that animals don't like to be killed? Holy shit, really? I thought this whole time that they just lived their life with the expectation and desire to be eaten. No one thinks that.
When able, cows try to reclaim their calves, taken from them so
It's instinct. Of course they do.
Their nursing material can be monetized and sold to humans. They fight and resist the fate the colonial empire claims is their welcomed destiny.
Jesus Christ.
Some meat eaters are afraid of what
The fucking jargon, holy shit. She's just like throwing every buzzword that she can in there.
they will feel if they look too closely at the degradations that constitute animals' experience. Mention disabling.
Could you just say if they look too closely at what goes on in like food agriculture instead of saying the experiences that constitute the whatever the fuck you said, like, oh my, just make it simple, please. Like, stop it. Just stop with the jargon.
Practices or the devastating separation of cows and their babies, and we hear meat eaters exclaim, "Don't tell me." Why are they afraid of the feelings such knowledge produces?
Because it's gross. Like I'm sorry, dead things are gross. I have butchered animals in my life. I know what it's like. My family lives on a farm. I have butchered chickens. I've milked goats. I know what those things are like. It's just kind of gross. Like, there's no way around it. People do it because it's like, it's got to be done. But no one actually well, let me rephrase that. Some people actually like going and killing animals, but they're weird and we should avoid them at all costs. But most normal people don't like killing animals. They do it out of an obligation and they try to do it as humanely as possible. And notice that I said normal people because I am aware that there are a lot of weirdos out there.
They accept a patriarchal construct that views feelings as unruly and untrustworthy.
Fuck you. That's the only response you get. Just fuck you. You're making this into something that is clearly not the case.
Causing chaos. To say you care about animals is considered a sign of weakness in
what universe? In what fucking universe? People love animals. That's why they don't want to hear about what goes on like factory farms, because they love animals. You literally just contradicted yourself.
world still committed to the gender binary that values
Gender binary. It's so scary. Ugh. This woman gives me the heebie-jeebies.
stereotyped masculine reason over stereotyped feminine feeling and wants order. And yet the reasons we hear are so irrational. If I did not eat animals, they never would be born.
If I did not eat animals, they never would be born. Vegan Logic 101. Okie dokie.
Meat eaters, like anti-abortionists, have forgotten that one quality of non-existence is not having awareness about
What?
existence.
She just dragged abortion into it. What a wonderful gem this woman is. She is truly a lol cow. Excuse the pun. Jesus Christ, lady. Like, I don't really know what to say at this point. She's gone way off the rails. She's gone. Like, we've lost her, guys. She's no longer with us up here, if you know what I mean.
Meat eaters say, why, if we put prisoners to work in slaughterhouses in England, they will be learning a skill.
I don't believe that anyone has ever used that as a justification for eating meat, ever.
I did not know that killing was a skill generalizable to other jobs.
Well, no, I'm not going to make that joke.
The new colonialist boasts, I only eat meat from locally owned farms, and I know the farmers there love their animals. If killing what one loves is standard practice, I hope they don't start loving me.
I do. But no, that's mean. I don't really wish that. I don't wish death on you, you sweet lol cow. What the fuck? Like, what do you want? So we can't just eliminate eating meat. We can't. Billions of people would die. All right, so we've established that. Okay. Would you rather, if people are going to eat meat, would you rather have them get their meat from a locally sourced place where the animals live, a free life, most natural as possible, right? Or would you rather them get the meat from a factory farm? Your call, but I think I know the answer, and I think that answer contradicts everything that you just said.
What about carrots? What about carrots were asked, though I've never seen a meat eater leap into the road to save a carrot from being run over by an automobile.
How? What? What?
When all else fails, meat eaters assert that animals are not our equals.
No, what was the point with the carrot? What about the carrot? You said, what about the carrot? Yes, what about the carrot? I don't know what you're talking about. Guys, help me. Like, what the fuck?
One would think such an equality would require us to respond more, not less sympathetically. Meat eaters tell me it's so hard to change, and yet I watch them work even harder not to change. If you all agree that 95% of meat is from factory farmed animals and it's wrong, stop eating it.
Jesus. Like, it's as if, like, the only thing that she can understand is, I'm right, therefore everyone else has no good reasons. Like, it's like she honestly believes that there is no reasonable argument against her position. Like, it feels as though she actually believes that.
Go to your colleges and eat the vegan option, which every college at this campus offers. It's very simple.
What if I buy locally sourced meat? What if I buy meat that has, like, what do they call it? Like, the range-free guarantees and stuff like that. Like, what if I do that? A lot of people do that. I don't know that it's an awful lot better, but who knows? But if people really have that much of a problem with factory farms, like, I agree that they should stop eating the stuff from factory farms. But I also think that the better answer is, hey, let's reform the legislation around the factory farms so that we prevent them from being cruel to the animals. Like, I don't want to get too far into the weeds on this because there's a lot to say.
You agree with the basic things so that we're not even debating factory farms, then act on it.
I don't think anyone likes factory farms. I don't know of a single person who is like, ooh, factory farms, love that idea. No one thinks that. I don't think there's a single person in the world that thinks that.
So, is our global outcome to be determined by people afraid to change who are going to hold on to some old conceived notion of power? Change may be hard, but not changing is harder.
Fundamentally untrue.
Tonight, you're being asked to vote on whether you accept this new colonialism or not.
No, they're not. They're being asked to vote on whether or not they think that they should eat meat. That's...
Our menu choices don't stay on the plate. And I heard all your laughter. I know some of these must be new ideas, or you think...
No, they're stupid ideas. We've been hearing idiotic vegans like you forever. They're not new ideas. They're just dumb.
Think they're fringe or whatever.
No, they're not fringe. They're dumb.
Our whiteness is part of the problem.
Okay, that's fringe.
Of meat eating.
Oh, fuck you. See, this is why no one takes vegans seriously. They attach themselves to all this other weird shit and then act like that's part of veganism. Somebody's like, I'm not touching that ever. Like, be reasonable. Just be like, look, here's nutritional benefits. I don't think that it's, like, I don't like factory farming. I don't think animals are treated, properly the way that we do it. Therefore, I'm a vegan. And lead by example, for fuck's sake. Like, you're being a dick to everyone the way that you're acting. I don't understand why people think that they can sit there and preach and tell everyone you're horrible and you're horrible and you're horrible and you're horrible and think for half a second that anyone is going to, one, take them seriously, or two, be receptive to the message. It's insane.
It really is. So your vote tonight is important.
That's funny. I said it's insane, and she said, it really is. So, see, I was right.
But even more important is the question of what or who will be on your plate in the morning. Sweet dreams.
What a passive-aggressive bitch. Sweet dreams as she's like, what's gonna be on your plate in the morning? Sweet dreams. As if like you remove the cover for your plate and it's like a severed human head is just sitting there. And look at her face. Like, let me rewind it like 2 seconds. Look at her face when she says that.
Will be on your plate in the morning. Sweet dreams.
Dude. I'm gonna try to freeze frame that. Let's see. Let's see here.
Sweet dreams.
Oh, damn it, I can't do it. Okay, anyways, she looks very salty. God damn. That's pretty funny. Thank you guys for recommending this to me. This woman is, like, remarkably full of shit. She's asked to comment about meat eating, and the majority of the time she spent talking about, like, white supremacy and colonialism. It's like, none of this has to... If you would drop that and start talking about, here's the specific issues with factory farming, this is why they're wrong, let's talk about the ethics of that, people will be way more receptive to you. But you're talking about, like, sexy pigs and cows and white supremacy. So go fuck yourself. I have no kind words for you. She is pretty much a lol cow, though, so I hope she comes back and does more debates. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Give it a like, subscribe if you want to. And I will see you all next time.